Okay, this is video 2 of the sheet metal tool tray project. Let's click on that tool tray project. And now that we are adding another part, let's make sure that we right click on Part Studio 1, rename that bottom. And then we can add a new one, create Part Studio, and let's rename that end. Okay, so let's create a sketch in the front view. View that normal to the sketch plane. And I'm going to grab my line this time. I'm going to start at the origin, and we're going to draw the rough shape of the tool tray end. Now, the only thing that matters is that your vertical lines are vertical, and I can tell they're vertical by that dashed line, and it kind of sticks to vertical. So I'm going to draw it up any random distance. I'm going to draw it out a random angle, but now it's important that my horizontal is perfectly flat. I can tell by that dashed line, and angle doesn't matter. I'm going to bring it back down to my axis and then back to my origin. Okay, now that looks like the general shape, but we need to give it some specifics now. So I'm going to select on my dimension tool. I want the length of that line to be 4. I want the length of this line to be 1.5. That's going to start messing things up. But if I want these two lines to be equal in length, I can select my constraints menu, click equal. And since I already defined this as 1.5, it's going to make that one 1.5 as well. Okay, I'm going to go back to my dimension tool. And there's a couple more that I need to include. The distance between black and blue should be 3. And then my angles between black and blue, make sure you drag it up here and type 45. Between black and blue, angle should be 45. With those dimensions, everything should be black and dimensioned and constrained, so I can click on the check mark. Okay, I am going to extrude my piece. Now this is just one sheet of metal. There's not going to be any compartments. So I need to find out what the thickness of a piece of metal is. So I'm going to go back to my bottom tab. I'll right click on sheet metal model and edit. I can see that the thickness of my metal is 0.063. So I'll go back to my end. And when I extrude this piece, I want that to be 0.063. Green check mark. And that gives me like a little slice of sheet metal. Now, since it is still that blue hue and not sheet metal gray, I want to come up here and click my sheet metal model button. Parts and surfaces to convert. I've only got one. And then faces to exclude. All right, I'm going to zoom in for this. You can see there's almost like little tabs. I'm going to select all of those small tabs around the outside. Okay, so my cursor says I have 5 items selected. I also want to remove one of these. Okay, so I should have 5 plus items selected, and I will green check mark. That's going to leave me with one gray piece of sheet metal. That's what I want to work with. Okay, now I want to add some features to this. Let's click on my drop down, and we want to add a hem. We want that hem to be 1/4 of an inch. on the two angled sides. Okay, that's going to update and green check mark. All right, that looks pretty good. I can view that isometrically, and when I click on my sheet metal table in flat view, it shows me exactly what that piece is going to look like. It shows me exactly where the bends are going to be and what the tabs are going to look like. So the tool tray end is complete.